I need to do my devil's advocate on this really quickly. Okay, so Ali, even if everything you said is true, but we have to really quickly go over the comments as well. Some more comments. But even if everything you said is true, the problem is two things. One, the optics of it is really against us, right? Because you could make all this argument for, like, listen, the rights that we care about is already covered under some other rights that already exist, right?
Hmm.
But at the end of the day, you're going to give the Muslims and the Christians and every other religious person the ammunition to basically say the simple phrase, they're taking our freedom away. These people who are saying that they're on the side of freedom, these people who pretend that they want to protect Muslims or Christians, that they're on the side of enlightenment values, the phrase is like, hey, they want to take your religion freedom away. They want to take your freedoms away. And I know you're going to say, like, no, listen, your freedoms are not going to go away,
Hmm.
blah, blah, blah. You could make those arguments. But again, they get the headline. They get the headline that they're coming for your religion, your freedom of practicing religion. And
Or
then they're going to let their audience basically run well, like their imagination. Oh my God! So what does this mean? They're taking our religion, freedom of religion away. They're gonna not let us express our love for Jesus, preaching Islam. They're gonna come and close our mosques or churches. We're not gonna be able to pray. People are gonna go to prison because they got caught praying or something. That's all they're. And the fear mongering is gonna be on their side. They're gonna be like, "Yep, they're taking our freedoms away, guys. They're taking these atheists. They're advocating for against freedom." I know you're not concerned, but again, optics matters when it comes to activism,
Yeah, no.
right?
So what you do is you have to come up with creative ways to do it. And the creative way to do it is that instead of saying, okay, we don't want to take freedom of religion out of the Constitution, but the phrase freedom from religion isn't actually in there, so we want to put that in. Okay, because now atheists and agnostics and religious nuns are like nuns, NONES, are 25%. 25% we're talking about the US population. In Canada it's even more. The UK, I think, it's even over 50%. In France it's over 50%. So we're going to organize right now. We're going to lobby, right, our representatives to add freedom from religion to the First Amendment. They'll be like, freedom from religion is just part of freedom of religion. What's the difference? Well, no, freedom of religion is just part of free expression, free thought, free assembly.
Mm.
So that, I mean, there's that. I'm just giving an example of a creative way you could go about it. It's like that.
Mm.
You know what you're saying with the pasta strainer on the head. You're making a point that makes it obvious to people. You're not. You don't have to necessarily spell it out, but
Mm.
you can take an initiative that would drive a point home. So
Mhm.
that's one way to do it. There may be other ways to do it, but I
And that,
think that it's a good thing to start talking about.
mm,
Okay, I think it's a good thing to start talking about. I know when I tweeted about this initially, I was made aware of Martin's article, which is amazing. Because Martin, I met Martin when I was in Belgium, when my book was translated there on the tour. We did a long interview. He published in Quillette, so I actually, I'm very friendly with him. I'm a huge fan of his. So it was amazing to me that he'd actually written something like this, and I think I'm going to actually call him on the show when we have it at a time zone when he's available, but to talk about this a little bit more. But I really think that we should push on this topic. Andrew Seidel, right, the
yes, I
attorney,
saw. I saw
right,
he was agreeing with you on Twitter on this.
right, and not only that, but he's drafting out this argument for his next book, which I'm
Yeah.
really looking forward to. And I think that this is something that we really
And
should get behind.
this is what his next book is going to be about, apparently. So
Hmm.
that's very exciting. Okay, but my other concern is from the other side. So I saw the optics that it looks like from the religious community and how they're going to use this against us to make it seem like we're anti-freedom. But another optics that I'm worried about is from the other side, from the people who are against freedom. Okay, so I don't know if it was when we posted this episode on Twitter. I don't know if it was your tweet or my tweet or Secular Jihadists tweet, but I saw like one person's like, yeah, like somebody was like, yep, take exactly, shut them down, and some other person was saying like, yeah, this is why I support China. So, like, and again, the people. A lot of people who are in favor of actually oppressing religious communities, they might use these narratives that now we're pushing of saying we're against freedom of religion to be like to basically justify themselves and be like, hey, you think we're bad? Look at these so-called enlightened people. They are taking people's freedom of religion away. So
Yeah.
the optics could be like used like again like I'm not, this is not even hypothetical. Just the tweet itself, just the title of this episode again itself. Got support from some people that are legitimately like they are actually against removing people's rights to pray or express their ideas.
Yeah,
So
I think that look, there's two, and that's something I was having a conversation with my mom actually about this earlier today, where she was making the same argument. She's like, you can't do that. It's a bad. People won't understand it. They're going to think that this is what you're going to get the support from people who are authoritarians. And then there are two main aspects to this. Okay, first of all, messaging is important. Okay, the
mm,
messaging is that in societies where freedom of thought, expression, and assembly are enshrined in the Constitution, right? In
mm.
secular, democratic, liberal societies, freedom of religion is not just a redundant, right, but a toxic um, addition to it, and it should be removed. That should be, and again, a
Yeah,
more pithy
but
way of
again, we
saying
have
that.
to be concerned. We have to be very like, even though you're right, the only thing we can do is just to keep clarifying what we mean. But I think that we have to be concerned about how this could be used or how people could the optics of it. Like that's something that we need to keep fighting for. Like
That goes with
that.
anything, though, Armin. Like,
Yeah.
when you say freedom of, if you have free speech, free thought, and then you have freedom of religion, people are like, oh, freedom of religion. That means that I can go and I can advocate for hanging gay people, right?
Hey, Ali,
Yeah.
please be careful. No, that's that phrase right there. YouTube is gonna flag it. I know.
Okay, that
I
was
know.
a
Don't.
very okay. That
Yeah.
wasn't a formulaic one, but still. So if you have, you can say that I can do this, I can do these terrible things to these communities, and people can interpret that. We can't really worry about how most people will, or how some people are going to interpret something with optics. The second part I was going to say, aside from the fact that messaging is important, and we have to be clear that this only applies to places where free speech and free expression is enshrined in these constitutions. The second part of it is that yes, I think this kind of messaging is good for people to start talking about the subject. When you come
Mm.
out and you say we need to abolish freedom of religion, right, as a legal concept, people will come in. They're going to have these arguments. Then they're going to hear from other people who will tell them, no, this is not what it means. And those discussions will happen. The important thing is to have the discussion happening,
Mm.
okay, for the idea to gain steam.